Chord transitions. So what are chord transitions? Well, what I just played there was an example of a few. You're moving from one chord to the next, to the next, to the next. This is something that you'll encounter in literally any song you play, unless you're playing a sort of a drone or like a harsh noise tune. But yeah. Chord transitions are one of the most important techniques that you have to learn as a beginning guitar player. It's absolutely essential, and getting used to these movements early will make learning songs so much faster and further your understanding of the fretboard from a very, very early level. So let's go ahead and get started. One quick thing before we start, you have to know how to read a chord diagram. Now, a chord diagram kind of looks like if you put your guitar literally right in front of your face and it laid out the chord for you. Here's what that looks like. We're going to go ahead and start with the chord transition of E minor to G. Here's E minor, our pointer and middle fingers on the second frets of A and D. Followed by G. We lift our middle finger and leave our pointer finger where it was. Ring and pinky on the third frets of the B and E strings. That's G. Again, E minor to G. E minor, G. Next up, we have E major to A minor. Starting with E major, we are going to be looking at our middle and ring fingers on the second frets of A and D, middle and ring, and our pointer finger on the first fret of the G string. We will then play E major. We will then move this entire shape down a string, pointer finger going down to the B string, middle and ring going down to the D and G strings respectively. We will be starting this chord from the A string. Again, E major to A minor. Next up, we have the C major to A minor transition. We'll be starting C major with our ring finger on the third fret of the A string, followed by the middle finger on the second fret of the D string. We're going to leave an open G and take our first pointer finger and put it on the first fret of the B string. Okay, we will then play starting from the A string, this shape. Now, to go from C major to A minor, we will simply lift up the ring finger and only the ring finger, bring it to the second fret of the G string, and we will then play A minor. Again, C, A minor. Okay, now the chord transition from C to F. C is the shape that we just looked at. Okay, that's a ring finger on the third fret of A string, middle finger on the second fret of D, open G, and pointer finger on the first fret of the B string. This is C. And to go to F, we're essentially going to take the ring and middle and bring both down a string respectively. Okay? And then we're going to flatten down that pointer finger to the first frets of the B and high E strings. And I like to think of this transition as a bunched up C chord. So here's C, and then you just bring all the fingers close together. Now you have F. Next up, we will be looking at the transition from G to D major. We're going to start with the middle finger on the 1, 2, 3, third fret of the low E string. Pointer finger on the second fret of A. Then we're going to add in that ring and pinky there at the bottom on the third frets of B and E. We will then play all the strings. That is our G major chord. Now, we are going to keep our ring finger planted, okay, planted on the third fret of the B string. We're then going to take our pointer and middle and put them on the second frets of the G string for pointer and high E string, second fret for middle finger. We will then strum from the D string for a D major. This shape's a little bit tricky, but as long as you don't lift up your ring finger, you've got it. Finally, we will be looking at D minor to F. Now D minor starts like this. We're going to take our middle finger, put on the second fret of the G string, followed by the ring finger, third fret of the B string, and pointer finger, first fret of the high E string. Okay, we're going to play from the D string. And then we are going to keep that pointer finger on the board and essentially switched the ring to the 3rd fret of the D string. And then we will bring the first finger up, strum from D, and now we have F major. So again, D minor. Just simply take the ring finger from B, bring it to D. There you go, D minor to F. There you go. Here's some songs I would use to practice these chord transitions. We're going to start with a Third Eye Blind tune called Semi-Charmed Life. That goes a little something like this: G, D, to C. At full speed, it sounds a little something like this. Next up, we have a Beyonce tune called Hold Up. This uses a fair amount of chords, but it starts with C, going to F, D minor, G, and then D minor, F. Sort of back and forth with the F and D minor. So and then finally a Nirvana tune titled Sliver, and that uses the chords C to F, C to A minor, and it sounds a little something like this. And a pro tip, if you want to practice along to these songs but aren't quite at the speed yet for the sort of speed that the recorded tune is at, I would recommend going to YouTube, going to the settings of the tune, and clicking the playback speed to be either 0.75 or 0.5, so it's just a little bit slower so you can get a feel for it and you don't have to work with just a metronome. You can also enjoy the tune and play along almost instantly. Give that a shot.